Donna, we need to speak with you right now.
Yes, you absolutely should, because what just happened in there is disgusting.
For 4 years, Bunnings trusted Donna with a loyalty card. She swiped it at 11 different stores across Sydney. That card was supposed to earn her rewards points. Instead, it built the case that ended her.
The 19 returns across 11 stores, no receipts, your
I am
own
a
card.
paying customer. I have every right to
Step
return
out
a
of the
faulty
store now.
product.
19 returns. 11 stores, 4 years. Every single one without a receipt. And every single one logged, time-stamped, and indexed against the same green and red loyalty card she swiped at the counter for the rewards points. By the time the New South Wales Police walked through those entry sliders, the case against the woman lying flat on the rubber entry mat had already been built, not by detectives, but by her own membership barcode. Quick question before we go any further. Have you ever watched someone lose it in a checkout line and wondered how far they'd actually take it? Tell me in the comments where you were when you saw it. And if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. We unpack cases like this one every single week. The ones where the person in the wrong is convinced, right up until the cuffs come out, that the world owes them an apology. Donna was born in 1970 in the western suburbs of Sydney, the second of 3 children to a panel beater father and a part-time bookkeeper mother. The family lived in a low-set fibro home off the Great Western Highway, the kind of street where every second driveway had a Holden up on blocks, and the smell of 2-stroke fuel hung in the air on Saturday mornings. Money was tight, but never desperate. Her father worked Saturdays at the smash repair shop. Her mother kept the books for 2 local tradies and a hairdresser, and she kept a manila folder in the kitchen drawer with every receipt the family had generated since 1972. That folder mattered. Donna would later tell a probation officer that her mother could produce a docket for a kettle bought in 1981 inside 90 seconds. Receipts in that house were a kind of currency. They proved you were owed something. They proved you were right. She finished her school certificate at the local high school in 1986 and went straight into work, a checkout job at a Franklin supermarket on the Great Western Highway, $3.90 an hour. She was good at it. Managers in 2 separate evaluations described her as quick on the till, polite to elderly customers, and capable of handling difficult returns without escalating. One supervisor wrote that she had a knack for de-escalation. The irony of that line, sitting in her personnel file 38 years later, would not be lost on the magistrate who eventually read it aloud. Donna married at 23 to a refrigeration mechanic named Bradley in a small ceremony at a function room above a bowling club in Penrith. They bought a 3-bedroom brick veneer in the outer western suburbs in 1995, and she left supermarket work to raise 2 daughters. For the next 15 years, she was, by every external measure, a normal suburban mother. School drop-offs at 7:40, Coles Run on Tuesday, Saturday morning netball, a Bradman bat-shaped cake for her younger daughter's 10th birthday that took her 4 hours and ended up sideways on the kitchen bench. The pivot came slowly. In 2010, Bradley was made redundant from the refrigeration company he'd been with for 17 years. He found contract work, but the steady fortnight pay was gone, and Donna took a part-time job at a discount homewares chain to fill the gap. It was there, according to 2 former co-workers later interviewed, that she first started talking openly about a hobby. She called it getting hers back. Anytime a department store, a hardware chain, or a major retailer wronged her, or she felt they had, she would return the item, and she would not accept a no. At first it was small. A toaster from Big W that didn't brown evenly. A set of Pyrex bowls, she said, had a chip she could not show anyone. a garden hose from a miter 10 that she insisted had split on first use, when in fact the kink was 3 months of coiling damage. She kept the receipts in a folder her mother would have recognized. She kept them, friends said, the way other people kept stamps. By 2014, the hobby had grown. By 2018, it had become something else entirely. By 2020, it had a regular venue. And the venue was Bunnings. To understand what Donna did, you have to understand the place she did it. Bunnings Warehouse is the largest hardware and home improvement chain in Australia. More than 300 stores nationwide, over 50,000 staff, aisles the length of a soccer pitch. The big box stores in outer Sydney move tens of thousands of customers a week through their entry sliders. And on a Saturday morning, the car park fills before 9. Out the front, a Lions club or a junior cricket team will be running the sausage sizzle, a red-painted folding stand, a flat-top grill, white bread, onions, a tin for gold coins. The smell of frying onions is, for an entire generation of Australians, the smell of Bunnings. The returns policy at Bunnings is one of the most generous in Australian retail. Bring an item back within a reasonable period, and the staff are trained to refund or replace it without an argument. The policy is well known. It is also abused, and the loss prevention team at Bunnings head office in Hawthorne East tracks abuse by hard data. Every transaction is logged. Every return is logged. And critically, when a customer presents a PowerPass card or a loyalty card at the time of the original purchase or the return, every interaction the card has ever had with the chain is tied together in a single national record. The service desk staff are trained on a tiered escalation. Step 1. Offer a refund or store credit per policy. Step 2. If the customer is hostile, call the duty manager. Step 3. If the customer becomes aggressive or refuses to leave, contact the in-store loss prevention officer. Step 4. Police. Most returns never go past Step 1. The vast majority of customers, even angry ones, accept the offer and leave. The system is built around the assumption that no reasonable person wants to be filmed by 12 overhead cameras while shouting at a teenager in a green apron. Donna was not most customers. The loyalty record showed her first Bunnings return in February 2020. A cordless drill returned to a store in Penrith. No receipt. Store credit issued. $97.40. She accepted the credit, used it on the same visit to buy a set of secateurs and a bag of native fertilizer, and walked out. It looked, on paper, like an ordinary transaction. It would have stayed that way, except that 3 weeks later she was back at a different Bunnings, this time in Minchinbury, returning a different drill. Same brand, same model, same condition, described as faulty. No receipt. Store credit. She used the credit that day on a wheelbarrow. The pattern, once anyone bothered to look for it, was unmistakable. Donna would buy an item, a drill, a sander, a pressure washer, a set of cordless secateurs, a leaf blower, a high-pressure hose nozzle, at one Bunnings store. She would use the item for weeks or months, and she would then take the used, scuffed, dirty item to a different Bunnings store, somewhere in the broader Sydney metro area, and return it without the receipt, claiming it had been faulty from the start. She never went back to the same store twice in a row. The 11 Bunnings she rotated through stretched from Hornsby in the upper north to Campbelltown in the southwest, from Rouse Hill out west to Alexandria near the city. She drove. She drove a lot. The petrol was, in her own words to her sister, an investment. And every single time, she swiped her loyalty card. She swiped it at the original purchase because she wanted the points. She swiped it again at the return because the staff asked her if she had a member card, and she always said yes. The returns clerks could not see on their individual store screen the full national history. They could see her membership was active. They could see sometimes that she had made a return at that specific store before. They could not see, in real time, that this particular customer had returned 19 items across 11 stores in 4 years, every single one of them without a receipt. The escalation was steady. In 2020, 4 returns. In 2021, 5. In 2022, 4. In 2023, 5. The dollar value crept up over time. The first return was $97. By late 2023, she was returning items in the $400 range. The total credited back to her across the 4 years was $3,416. She used most of it on more Bunnings purchases, which she then returned, which generated more credit, which she used on more purchases. It was a closed loop, a self-funding garden. Her husband, interviewed later, said he had thought she was just very into hardware. Her older daughter said she had assumed her mother had a deal with someone. Her younger daughter said, in a single line that would be quoted in the local paper, that she had stopped going to Bunnings with her mum in 2021 because, quote, it was always something. Nobody flagged it because no individual store saw the pattern. The pattern was distributed. The pattern was hidden in plain sight inside the loyalty database until the morning of the pressure washer. Before we get to that morning, do me a favor. If you've ever worked retail and watched someone do this, the pretend faulty item act, the I wanna manager performance, the I know my rights monologue, sound off in the comments and tell me where you were and what they were trying to return. I want to read every single one of these. And if this channel is new to you, subscribe now. We cover the cases mainstream news won't touch. The Karens, the badge abusers, the white-collar grifters, every week. It was a Saturday, the 14th of September, 2024. A cool, bright outer Sydney spring morning, the kind where the air smells like jasmine and freshly cut grass and onions on a hot plate. The Bunnings Warehouse in the outer western suburbs opened its sliders at 6:30 a.m. By 9:15, the car park was 3/4 full. Out the front, the local junior rugby league club was running the sausage sizzle. A folding red stand, a flat-top grill smoking with onions, a sign reading $2.50 a snag, a tin of gold coins, 3 dads in club polos. Donna parked her white Toyota RAV4 in the 3rd row and walked across the car park carrying a battered Karcher pressure washer in its original box. The box had been resealed with brown packing tape. The pressure washer inside had been used, by every account given afterwards, regularly for at least 4 months. It was scuffed. It had dried mud on the underside. The high-pressure hose was kinked in 2 places. She had bought it in March from a different Bunnings, 28 kilometers away, for $398. She walked through the entry sliders, past the trolley bay, and turned right toward the service desk. The Saturday morning team leader was a 26-year-old named Harriet in her green apron and red polo. Behind Harriet was a younger casual named Liam, 18, on his 4th shift. Donna placed the box on the counter. She did not say good morning. She said, quote, "This has always been faulty, and I want a full cash refund." Harriet asked, politely, for the receipt. Donna said she did not have one. Harriet said that under Bunnings' policy, in the absence of a receipt, the store could offer a store credit at the current shelf price, which was $348. Donna said she wanted $498, $398 for the unit, and $100 for, in her words, emotional distress. Harriet said that was not something the store could do. Donna asked for the manager. The duty manager, a 41-year-old named Ash, came down from the mezzanine office. Ash explained the policy a second time. Store credit at current shelf price. No cash without a receipt. No compensation for distress. Donna's voice rose. The two customers behind her in the queue stepped back. The ceiling cameras, all 12 of them, kept rolling. And on the loyalty terminal, in a small box on Harriet's screen, a green tick confirmed that Donna's membership had been swiped, and her national return history was 3 keystrokes away. Donna leaned over the counter and shouted that the staff were thieves. She said the company was thieves. She said her father had built half this country with his bare hands, and Bunnings was robbing her of her dignity. Then she picked up a small potted succulent from a display rack beside the counter, a $13 crassula in a terracotta pot, and threw it. The pot hit the back wall behind Harriet, 2 feet to the left of her head. It shattered. Soil sprayed across the EFPOS terminal. That was the moment the duty manager pressed the duress button. The duress button at a Bunnings service desk does 2 things. It alerts the store's loss prevention officer, and it sends an automatic flag to the chain's loss prevention monitoring center in Hawthorne East, Victoria. Every camera angle in the affected store gets pulled into a temporary review queue. The flag was logged at 9:23 a.m. Within 4 minutes, a senior loss prevention analyst in Hawthorne East had pulled the customer's loyalty number from the duress flag and run a national history report. What came back, according to internal records later read into court, was a single-page document the analyst would describe to police as, quote, "the cleanest pattern I've ever seen on a member. 19 returns, 11 stores, 47 months of activity. Total credited value $3,416. Not a single receipt presented. Not a single original transaction matched to any of the returned items." The analyst printed the report. She emailed it to the senior loss prevention officer. She called the store. By 9:28, the staff at the service desk had been told to keep the customer in the store, ideally without further engagement, until New South Wales police arrived. Donna did not need to be kept in the store. Donna was not leaving. When Ash refused again to authorize a cash refund, Donna turned and walked toward the entry sliders. As she passed the front display of seedlings and bagged potting mix, she shouldered into the corner of the Junior Rugby League sausage sizzle stand. The stand was inside the entry alcove, set up just past the sliders and out of the rain. The flat-top grill, half full of cooking oil and onions, slid sideways. One of the dads grabbed the rim of the grill with a tea towel. The oil arced. A 78-year-old customer named Margaret, walking in through the sliders behind a small trolley, took a splash of hot oil and onion across her left forearm and the front of her cotton blouse. She cried out and stumbled. The dad with the tea towel caught her elbow before she hit the concrete. Margaret was treated at the scene by a Bunnings first aid officer. She was later assessed at Nepean Hospital with first-degree burns to a strip of skin 12 centimeters long. She declined to press charges of her own. The Crown laid the charge anyway. Donna did not stop in the car park. She turned around. She walked back to the sliders, and she sat down, cross-legged, directly on the rubber entry mat in the middle of the doorway, blocking the sensors. The sliders stayed open. The store could not close them. Customers had to step over her legs to enter. She sat there for 22 minutes. She did not speak to staff. She did not speak to the duty manager. She refused to move when an off-duty paramedic offered her water. She told one entering customer that the store was holding her hostage. She told another that her mother had a folder of every receipt the family had ever generated, and she was not going to be treated like a thief. The loss prevention officer filmed her on a handheld camera. The ceiling cameras filmed her. 2 customers filmed her on their phones, and one of those clips would later end up on a Sydney morning radio station's social media account with 16 million views. The 2 officers from the local area command arrived at 9:46, a senior constable named Jenkins and a probationary constable named Powell. They had been briefed in the car. They knew, before they walked in, about the pressure washer, about the crassula, about the sausage sizzle, and about the elderly woman with the burn. Jenkins crouched down beside Donna on the entry mat. Jenkins: "Morning, I'm Senior Constable Jenkins. Are you okay to stand up and have a chat with me outside?" Donna: "I haven't done anything wrong." Jenkins: "I'm not asking you that yet. I'm just asking you to stand up and step outside with me." Donna: "I'm not moving. They're robbing me. $398, and they're calling me a thief." Jenkins: "Ma'am, you've been asked to leave the premises. You're now trespassing. You also threw a plant at staff. We can talk outside, or we can talk down the road. Your choice." Donna: "I'm staying right here. I have rights." Jenkins stood up. He looked at Powell. He looked at the duty manager. He nodded once. Donna lay flat. She let her arms go limp. She closed her eyes. She did not, contrary to what she would later tell the magistrate, refuse to move. She made herself impossible to move easily, which is not the same thing, and the cameras knew the difference. The 2 officers, with assistance from the loss prevention officer, lifted her under the shoulders and the knees and carried her, fully limp, out through the sliders, across the entry concrete, past the still-toppled sausage sizzle stand, to a marked patrol car parked diagonally across the disabled bay. They placed her on her feet beside the car. She did not stand. They lowered her to a seated position on the concrete curb. She did not resist. She also did not cooperate. She said, quote, "You're carrying me because you're stronger, not because you're right." She was placed under arrest at 9:51 a.m. for destroying property, common assault, affray, and resisting arrest. In the back of the patrol car on the way to the station, she said one more thing the body cam picked up. She said, quote, "I want to speak to your supervisor." The brief was prepared at the local area command and handed to the Director of Public Prosecutions for New South Wales within 3 weeks. The matter was listed in the local court at Penrith, before a magistrate with 23 years on the bench. The charges were 4: destroying property in the form of the crassula succulent, the terracotta pot, and the soiled EFTPOS terminal, a maximum of 5 years under Section 195 of the Crimes Act. Common assault against Margaret, the 78-year-old customer struck by hot oil, Section 61, maximum 2 years. Affray for the conduct in the entry alcove, Section 93C, maximum 10 years. And resisting an officer in the execution of duty, Section 546C, maximum 12 months. Her solicitor, a Penrith local named Andrew, advised an early plea. The body cam, the ceiling cameras, the customer phone footage, the loyalty card history, and the medical record from Nepean Hospital made any defense other than mitigation a waste of court time. Donna pleaded guilty to all 4 charges at her second mention. The sentencing hearing ran for 90 minutes. The Crown tendered the loyalty card report: 19 returns, 11 stores, 47 months, $3,416. not as a separate charge, but as evidence going to character and pattern. Andrew did not object. He could not. Margaret did not attend, but the court read her short victim impact statement aloud. She said her arm had healed, but she had not been back to that Bunnings since, even though her son lived 2 streets away. She said she did not understand why a grown woman would behave that way over a piece of garden equipment. She said she hoped the lady got some help. The magistrate spoke for almost 12 minutes before passing sentence. He said the offending was not, on its face, the most serious matter the court would deal with that week. He said no one had been seriously injured. He said the property damage was modest. But he said the conduct revealed something the court rarely sees so clearly documented: a sustained, deliberate, multi-year pattern of dishonest conduct captured by the offender's own membership card, in which the offender had abused the trust of a national retailer and, through that retailer, the goodwill of an entire community of staff and customers. He said the most striking feature of the case was that the smoking gun had been carried, voluntarily, in the offender's own wallet and presented at every counter because she liked the rewards points. The sentence was a community corrections order of 12 months, 100 hours of community service, to be performed under the supervision of the local council parks and gardens unit. Restitution of $3,400, payable to the Bunnings Group within 12 months. A condition prohibiting her from entering any Bunnings Warehouse, Bunnings Trade Center, or any retail premises operated by the Bunnings Group anywhere in Australia for the remainder of the order. And then, separately and outside the court process, the Bunnings Group itself, through its head of loss prevention, issued a formal lifetime trespass notice to Donna at her home address. The notice was in writing. It was served by registered post. It made her ban permanent. 343 stores, 50,000 staff, the smell of frying onions on a Saturday morning, gone for the rest of her life because of one battered pressure washer and a single line of loyalty card data. Her husband stayed. Her older daughter stayed. Her younger daughter, the one who had stopped going to Bunnings with her in 2021, did not return any of her phone calls for the remainder of that calendar year. The community service was completed. The restitution was paid in 3 installments. The order ran its full 12 months and lapsed without breach. The lifetime ban remains in force. And somewhere in a server room in Hawthorne East, the loyalty card record sits, archived, not deleted. 19 returns, 11 stores, 4 years, every single one logged, every single one indexed against the same green and red membership barcode she swiped at the counter every single time because she liked the points. The points were the receipt she said she didn't have. This case was almost too on the nose to believe. But the case on the right-hand side of your screen right now, it makes this one look reasonable. Click it.